Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. An unusual lead brings Ava, Harris, and Lucas closer to chancing Clyde, but will he make it out of Montana alive? In the square, John and Marlena show each other gifts they bought for Jude. They wonder where Eric is with their grandson since they were supposed to be meeting. Marlena calls him. Lying in bed, an emotionally shattered Eric declines the call, but textbooks that he ain't make it. Marlena feels commodity is wrong. As they stay for their food at the cantina, Jada tells Steve they short-handed at the station. It doesn't help that Harris just got back from leave only to take further time off. Steve worries about where he and Ava could be. Jada deduces he's upset about commodity differently as well. He confides he's upset about Stephanie. In Montana, Lucas follows Harris and Ava into a rustic motel room. He announces they bringing in a rollaway bed for him. Since it's trout season, they were lucky to get indeed one room. Lucas hates being the third wheel, but Harris reminds him they there for Clyde, not love. Harris brought him there as a motorist and a lookout. After learning from Chad that Eric is at work, Marlena tries calling Sloan, but her number's been dissociated. She and John go to the apartment, where a teary-eyed Eric fills them in on Sloan and Jude. They ask what they can do for him. Eric just wants to be alone, but assures them he isn't going to drink. At the cantina, Jada tries to play down Everett's arrest when Steve brings it up. Since both she and his son were involved with him, he needs to know if Everett is a violent man. Jada says he no way raised his hand to her. She doesn't suppose he hurt Stephanie, not like that. Steve knows there's commodity she's not telling him. Jada assures him Stephanie knows what she's getting into. Steve and Jada toast at the cantina. She holds an iced tea, he holds a beer bottle as they eat burgers. Steve apologizes for all the questions, but Jada calls Stephanie lucky to have such a concerned pater. She misses hers every day. Steve misses Marcus too and would be happy to step into the concerned pater. Part for Jada. Screaming, she says she's good. When Steve notices her hamburger bun is different than his, she explains it's gluten-free. Officer Goldman did one good thing by turning her onto this niche online bakery. Is that right? Steve says pensively. After Jada goes back to work, Steve pulls out his laptop. Thanks to Jada, he might have an idea of how to find Ava and Harris. Lucas gets beers at the motel, wondering why Harris didn't just call the FBI on Clyde. Because I want to deal with that son of a bitch myself, he says. Harris tells Lucas that the city librarian eyed Goldman, who used the computer. Clyde was spotted in city eventually back too, but it turned into a false lead. Lucas prodigies if he has the original bobbies in his fund. Harris thinks if they follow Goldman, she'll lead them to Clyde. Lucas assumes they'll also turn him over to the FBI, which Harris confirms. Still, Ava flashes back to telling Steve she'll deal with Clyde permanently. On the domain bench, Chad gives Stephanie a coffee in the domain. Stephanie tells Chad that Marlena thinks Everett has did. After going through it with Abby, Chad warns it'll be a rough lift. Is she up for it? Stephanie can't just turn her back on him. She knows Abigail was lucky Chad was there for her, but Chad counters he wasn't there enough. Stephanie wonders how he can say that. She's not then, is she? Stephanie urges him to stop condemning himself. Clyde's the only one responsible for her death. John and Marlena take Eric to eat in the square, but he pushes his plate down. Marlena stops Everett when he passes through. She tells him they've been looking for him. Agitated, he says he's just been walking around. She wants to talk about what happened. He defensively says he doesn't flash back punching Eric, who he apologizes to. Everett assumes he allowed. Eric was trying to hurt Sloan, which doesn't make sense since she's his woman. And he loves her. Eric storms down. Marlena asks Everett to let her help him. John and Marlena solemnly sit with Eric in the square. Ava hangs back at the motel while Harris and Lucas go out searching for food. She answers the motel room phone to Steve. He wants to join the hunt for Clyde, but Ava worries he'll be sloped off if too numerous people are there. Steve relents. When she tells him Goldman's been spotted in city, he relays that Goldman's favorite gluten-free chuck. Company vessels daily to AP.O. Box in Ennis, Montana. The first payload was transferred to a Faith Silvers the week after Clyde broke out of captivity. The coming payload is listed for hereafter. He tells her to be careful. She pulls out a gun, assuring him she can take care of herself. After hanging up, she says to herself, the only person coming home in a body bag is Clyde. Harris and Lucas return with slushies and flaming hot rubbish airs from the convenience store. Sitting on the bench in the square, a dimmed Eric leans forward. Next to him, John rests his hand on his shoulders as John comforts Eric in the square. He recalls how he'd to give up him and Sammy when they were youthful. But he stayed in their lives and loved them indeed though they weren't his. Over the times, the pain went down. Eric is glad John made that choice, but he doesn't want to make Nicole's life any harder. Hard, Everett refuses Marlena's help and stomps to the Salem Inn. Marlena calls Jada to suggest an intervention for Everett. Jada's in. In the domain, Chad tells Stephanie he'll be there for her while she helps Everett. She gets a textbook from Jada about the intervention. Chad offers his help. She thanks him and leaves. Chad gets a call from Steve, who can't give specifics, but says he's confident Harris will bring Clyde back. Dead or alive? Chad asks. I do and suppose I've to tell you which bone. I prefer, Steve says. Kristen finds out the truth about Jude, blackmails EJ for DiMera CEO spot. Days of Our Lives, DOOL, spoilers suggest that Kristen DiMera, Stacey Hayduke, has had her eye on DiMera's CEO spot for a while now. She's been working with Stefan DiMera, Brandon Barish, to free Gabby Hernandez, last played by Camila Banus, to erect EJ DiMera, Dan Furigel. Still, could she stumble across a little dirty secret of her family's to score that job, all on her own? Days of Our Lives spoilers, Kristen DiMera is Tricky Days spoilers for the week of May 27th to 31st reveal that EJ will introduce his new son to Kristen. While she'll be happy that little Jude Brady, Oliver McClarty, is the baby everyone believed was dead, she may pick up on commodity being off during their discussion. She may indeed notice that the child looks nothing like EJ. Days of Our Lives spoilers Kristen finds out the truth about Jude, blackmails EJ for DiMera CEO spot. Could she see Eric Brady, Greg Vaughn, in Jude's smile? Numerous other characters have noticed the resemblance between Eric and his espoused son. Still, there's also a chance after their discussion that EJ gets a call from Sloane Peterson Brady, Jessica Surfety. She'll be on the run this week. Andrea appear on oil for a standoff with Nicole closer to the weekend, but as she spurts out of Salem, she may need farther instructions on where to go and how to get there. Still, he could unmask the sap, which would give MS, if EJ slips up while Kristen is lurking. DiMera the influence she needs to blackmail him. DOOL spoilers, Kristen DiMera's ultimatum. Kristen isn't below blackmail, it's the DiMera way, after all. The fact that EJ skipped over her to run DiMera was a kick in the gut, especially as he formerly had a job as the city's quarter attorney, at the time. With the trouble of losing Nicole, EJ will incontrovertibly succumb to Kristen's pitfalls. He knows that if the verity came out, Nicole would not only leave him on the spot, but she'd also naturally gravitate toward Eric as they partake a child together. The reason Jude is with Nicole now is to keep Eric piecemeal. Could Kristen find out about Jude's true maternity? Could she blackmail EJ with the information to hitch that comfy CEO spot at DiMera? Leave your studies in the comments section. Don't miss a moment of the popular Cleaner on Peacock and visit SOS regularly for all the stylish Days of Our Lives updates, spoilers, and news.